Hey guys, JohnnyCrims2000 here, and welcome back to Let's Play the Invincible Iron Man for the Game Boy Advance. This is part 2! And here we are starting off on level 3, and this is the part of the game where Ish just starts getting cray-cray. This is the part of the game that introduces a lot of the things that can make Iron Man a little bit annoying to play, honestly. As I said in the last part, there's nothing particularly wrong with Iron Man, or I mentioned before how it's basically just, Mega Man with a couple things added on, a couple things taken out. So there's nothing particularly bad about this game, but there are a couple things that make it a little annoying to play. One of the things here is you guys can pretty much tell right from the get-go here is that getting toward, as you progress through this game, the game just starts throwing a heck of a lot of enemies toward you, and as you guys can see at the top of the screen there, because I'm constantly having to fire my repulsor blast, my energy bar at the top of the screen there is constantly going down. And this is what I meant by how as it goes down you lose the ability to rapid fire, which can become annoying in these parts of the game where there's just a bunch of people just shooting at you, and you just, you're desperate to try to kill everybody as fast as you can because you're trying to, basically at this point I'm just trying to survive, like just getting crap shot at me like from all over the place. Let me just say right off the bat here is last part I mentioned in the description of the video how last part it came off a little wonky. The quality of the video came off a little wonky. I do apologize for that. I'm hoping that this part of the game, this part of the Let's Play doesn't come off that badly. So I just want to say I'm sorry again for the quality of the video from the first part. I have no idea why it did that, like it just, skipping frames, and there was one part where the screen went black. So I do apologize for that, folks. Hopefully it won't do it again. But yeah, I mean, experimenting here with recording my footage off of the emulator instead of an actual game. But anyway, here we are introduced to the power orbs. The power orbs are the little blue collectamajigs that you collect, and what they do is that they power up your ultimate attack. Now, the way that it works is that if you press the left trigger, or the left bumper rather, on the Game Boy Advance, you are given sort of like an ultimate attack, which is sort of like your desperation attack of sorts. Now, Iron Man has two kinds of these sort of attacks. He can either do, like if he collects one power orb, he has his unibeam, his chest-mounted beam, if you want to call it. I think it's called unibeam. I can't remember. Yeah, it is unibeam. I'm thinking of like how it's called in Marvel, like the Marvel vs. series. I think it is the unibeam. And basically what that is that you get to shoot a big freaking laser that covers the entirety of the screen. I mean, it goes from him to the edge of the screen and beyond, and it's great for multiple hits. It's good if you have an entire line of enemies that you're trying to get rid of, and they're all lined up in front of you. Now, as you guys saw there, if you collect two power orbs at the same time, you get a new attack, which was that thing right there. First, your little orb at the top of the screen turns yellow to signify that you've collected two, and you do that thing that I just did there, which pretty much just detonates a big bomb and gets rid of everything on the screen all at once. So it's a little better, or overall better than the unibeam, because the unibeam you have to actually hit your enemies. You actually have to make contact like I did there with the beam, as opposed to just the big freaking detonation thing, which just takes out absolutely everything on the screen. So a little bit of, a little strategy there. Now, one thing that I will say about that starts to become apparent in this, starting in this levels, or these levels, these forest levels, is that you start to see how non-linear the levels are. Now, the first two levels, the ones that I showed off in the last part of the Let's Play, those pretty much are, straightforward, get from point A to point B levels. You pretty much just have one place to go, which is go straight. Starting with this level, however, you still have to get to a certain point in the level, but you have so many different ways to do that. And you really get to see that starting in this level, and it becomes really apparent starting in the next couple levels, which will be coming up in the next part. But this game does a wonderful job at making it very non-linear. So you have a variety of ways to get to your destination, even though the destination is pretty much the same place regardless of how you get there. It kind of reminds me of sort of like Sonic, you know, the Sonic the Hedgehog 2D games, where you essentially, you know, regardless of how you get there, you have to get to the same spot, you know, but you have multiple ways of getting there. That's sort of like the same idea here. You'll see that eventually, and it can become a little bit of a hindrance sometimes because, anyway, this welcoming party wasn't put here just for my benefit. It looks like I've stumbled across someone's secret robot army hidden in these woods. An operation of this scale is way out of Morgan's league. He must have been mixed up in something much bigger than I originally thought. I love those cheesy comic book spliced in, you know, monologues that he does. Anyway, before I was so rudely interrupted, what I was saying is that you can really tell, or I was saying how sometimes it becomes a hindrance because there are a couple times in this game where I just didn't know how to, you know, what to do, like how to get to the next part of the stage, and that can be a good thing and a bad thing at the same time. Like, it's a good thing because it encourages you to explore all these levels, you know, but it's a bad thing because sometimes you just want to get, you know, you just want to go straight and you're like desperate to try to find where to go next, and sometimes you just don't, you can't do that. It's never to the point where you just, you know, where you just give up, but you know, I can see some people maybe not liking that. Booyah! Unibeam, mofos. I love that. I should also mention how, I mentioned before in my first part how this is probably the best, or one of the better, Iron Man games. Unfortunately for Iron Man, he hasn't had a good, you know, history as far as video games are concerned. He's only ever been in, like, I mean, starring, like, his own game. He's been in Iron Man and Exo Manowar, in Heavy Metal, which was a game for the game, not the Game Boy, the PlayStation and the Saturn, starring Exo Manowar, which is a superhero from Valiant Comics, which is not very well known. I think it's Valiant. I may be getting that wrong. And it was basically just a very bland shooting game, and honestly, I wouldn't recommend it. I may eventually cover it, just because it's a Marvel game. I love Marvel games. I'm going to be covering a lot of them. By the way, this is only the start. I have so many superhero games. And he starred in that, which wasn't very well received. He starred in this game, and then of course he starred in the games that were part of the movie franchise, starting with Iron Man and then Iron Man 2, which the first one was definitely, you know, it was chewed up by the gaming community as not being very good, and the second one fared a little bit better, but it was still chewed up a lot, unfortunately. And then you have Iron Man 3, which was a game that was made for the iPhone and Android, so for smartphones really. And I actually, quick little fact here, I actually just played it for the first time the other day. I just downloaded it. I realized it was free, and I'm just like, oh heck yeah, I'm playing this. And I've been testing it out, and it's basically just like Temple Run, you know, those games where you you know, you try to see how far you can go. It does have a couple missions and stuff like that, but it's basically, that's basically what it is. It's just Temple Run that allows you to shoot. Oh, and you gotta love this. Dead. I love his death animations. Yeah, I did die there. I decided to kind of fade in, just to kind of skip through it, because it actually took a lot of time. I love his death roll, his death scream. Oh, just wanted to quickly point that out. But yeah, the mobile game Iron Man 3, it's not a, you know, it's not a standalone, or it's not a proper Iron Man 3 game, unfortunately. By then, Sega had ended their relationship with Marvel, so they're not allowed to make any of the movie tie-in games, which some people think is good. I'm sort of indifferent, honestly. I think if they were given the right chance, they could make good games, but unfortunately, You know, the two Iron Man games and the Thor game, which was just blasted, didn't do very well. So Marvel was just like, you know what, let's just give somebody else a try. Unfortunately, they didn't make a proper Iron Man 3 game. So instead, we got a Temple Run version of Iron Man for smartphones, and it's okay. I think it's fun. It can be a little hard, unfortunately, because it's just very easy to die in that game. A lot easier than in Temple Run. So, unfortunately, of course, there is no way for me to record it, so there's no way for me to show you footage. But you can just go online and see footage for yourself. Give it a try. If you have an Android or an iPhone, go ahead and download it. As far as I know, it's for free, so you can make your own opinion. And besides that, that's pretty much it for Iron Man. That's the only games that he's ever starred in, and none of them have really been all that great. Except, for me, this is probably one of the better ones. I have to play a little bit more of Iron Man 2 to really make a proper opinion, but yeah, Iron Man doesn't really have that great of a lineup, unfortunately. And booyah! Unibeam. Biz notches. And we're almost done with this level. Just gotta walk a little bit more. These levels do tend to drag on, as you guys have probably noticed by now. That's one of the things probably that holds this game back. It's a little bland. I mean, we've pretty much seen every enemy besides the bosses. Which reminds me, we're going to be running into a boss a little later on. There's only 3 bosses in the entire game, by the way. Spoilers. But I really wish they had more. So here we are introduced to Blizzard, one of the villains from Iron Man's past that has, you know, made it onto this game. Unfortunately, here all we have to do is shoot him like twice with a charge-up shot, and he just kind of leaves. Well. Blizzard, the cowardly villain has fled now that I've destroyed his forest army. He must know the location of the data. Time to ask him some tough questions. And we move on to level 5, guys, but that is the end of part 2. I will see you guys in part 3 of Let's Play the Invincible Iron Man for the Game Boy Advance. Alright, see ya. As always, if you like this video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel if you want to get more stuff from me. In the meantime, if you like my videos, be sure to find me on Twitter, Tumblr, Raptr, and Screwattack.com to see the other gaming-related content that I upload. Info is in the description. Who knows? Maybe you'll like my stuff. Maybe. Maybe.